Give us a second here, guys, as I'm getting started up.
Hi,
Wayne, what's
everybody.
going on with you today, brother?
Oh, living the dream as always. Just kind of enjoying my last few days of, I guess, unemployment until I start my new job. And doing adulting stuff, cleaning cat boxes out, and taking care of this and taking care of that. Dad stuff.
Gotcha, man. Everybody, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. We're getting into the Christmas season. You know, there's something about being a dad and a parent. Christmas just doesn't hit like it did when we were younger.
Uh,
I see
yeah,
it coming, and I see it nothing as like marketing, dude. It's a
yeah.
nightmare. Have you ever thought
This,
about it like this though, Dewayne? I was talking to my wife about it the other day. I was like, make this make sense. I was like, we spend like now they start talking about Christmas before Halloween is
oh
over,
yeah,
and we spend 2 months. We watch these movies, we get the presents, we do all this, months to celebrate one day.
yeah. Yeah, no, it's so weird that yeah, it's like does it start in July now? I think like July 4th. They're like, hey, Merry early Christmas or something. I don't know. It's weird. It seems to be happening earlier and earlier, and then almost by the time you get to Christmas, you're like, just get it over with already. I mean, it's just too much. But
That's where I'm
well,
at.
you got kids that are a little bit older. Mine are in their 20s now. And Christmas is when you're talking about Christmas for dads is different, especially as you get older. This
We're
year
gonna
has
get
been
some
weird.
socks and underwear.
Yeah,
I look forward to Christmas because I need that socks and underwear.
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Yours is looking a little holy, looking religious sock underwear.
Inappropriate. Maybe TMI right here. I thought it was so funny though. I got a pair of my boxers the other day, and it took me forever to want to put them in the trash, but it was two perfectly placed tears in it from my balls.
But I was gonna say, is it like yeah?
You look down at the underwear. It was two
This
little
is
cutouts, and I was like, I want to frame it in a way. Because that
you
took talent.
should
It
you
didn't rip
should
anywhere else but there.
put it up in the house as guests walk in. It's a conversation starter or ender. It, no
But,
rules.
but guys, so glad to be with you here today. This is a very important time of year for our dads out there. I mean, this is the time that you want to spend with family and
Hmm.
kids. And our job as dads is to make our kids make sure they have the best day that they possibly can, right?
Yep.
And unfortunately, a lot of these dads won't have the opportunity to spend it with their kids. And so I want to
Yeah.
make sure there's content coming out for those guys. And I've got some really big announcements here today that I want you to hear. So stick around. We'll get to that. But for these dads going through this holiday season, man, we just wanted to make sure that you know that you're important, you're special, and that you're taking out time to go out and do the things that you once loved. A lot of these guys, Dwayne, when they're going through this trauma, they're going through this pain, they'll get in that mode to where they can't think about anything else.
Oh
And they
yeah,
stay stuck in that cycle.
trauma.
For the hotlines where people don't want to live anymore, you know the word that I'm not allowed to say on here.
Yeah.
You would think, most people probably would think the worst time of year is Christmas, because that's the holiday. Everybody's waiting for
Right.
that Christmas miracle like you see on Hallmark. It's
Yeah.
actually after New Year's.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. And this made so much sense. I was talking to somebody that ran a hotline about this. These guys hold on through the holidays, Dwayne,
Yep.
open that Christmas miracle is going to take place. And when it doesn't, that's the period of time where it gets really bad. So guys, you never know what's going on in someone else's life. So make sure that we're out there and we're lifting up our brothers. Guys,
Yeah.
we know this. We hide behind a smile. We have to get throughout our day, and a lot of times we'll be hiding behind a smile. The example I use all the time is Robin Williams, a guy that made
Yep.
everybody happy, made everybody smile. You would think such a happy guy, and look what happened, man. I miss Robin. I really do miss
Oh,
Robin, but
loved Robin. Yeah, he was the best. And I'm old enough. I remember him when he was on SNL. He did Robin Williams, a parody of Robin Williams. That is just classic comedy. If you get time, go Google SNL. Robin Williams does Ronald Reagan. Yeah, I mean, everything he did was great. Even in that, what was that one? He was it was like a photo lab. Like he always played the funny, crazy guy, and then he played like a serial killer. I don't know if we can say that on Instagram, but like a complete switch. I've been a Robin Williams fan forever. I mean, and of course Aladdin. I mean that
Oh yeah.
him as a genie. I mean but you got these guys that they the smile, the laughter. They're the guys that you think never going to happen, and unfortunately they're suffering in silence. It's horrible.
Yeah, man. Guys, I want to get to a few of these announcements because it's one of the main reasons I'm doing this, and this is very important.
Tune in.
Dwayne, I haven't. I've shared a little bit of this with you, but not much. Over the past 2 months, guys, I had something that was brought to me, and I have done my homework. And from what I've seen of it so far, it's amazing. It can change the face of family law. I talked about it a little bit of what we are in our last broadcast. But tomorrow night, the guy that created this is going to be here. It's a doctor and his sidekick. These guys have created something that I believe can actually dismantle the family courts. They don't know what's going to hit them. And, that's something that we've all been waiting for. There's tons of people that say they think they have the answer. Now, is it going to shut down the family courts? Is it about, it's not about legislation. No. But what it does is it keeps the focus on the child, gets the mudslinging out of court, and so far, man, worldwide, it's had 100% success rate, and this is after
100%.
Several thousand parents have went through it. The doctor has gotten old. He wants to make sure that this gets out there because this is what he wants to see happen, guys. And I'm serious. I want you to take this as serious as I'm taking it. I want you to show up tomorrow, ask questions, get involved. Be the biggest skeptic that you can be. Like, something's behind this. Well, what about this? What about this? What about this? Bring those questions, and I'm going to take it to them because that's what I've been doing for the last 2 months. When I hear somebody say that they can help you inside family court, Dwayne, first thing that happens with me is the BS detector starts going off, right?
Oh, yeah.
Something's here. If it sounds too good to be true, most of the time it is. I have went up and down with this, dude, and what I see is solid. And as I see these parents go through this, dude, I'm going to scream it to the rooftops.
Yeah.
It's a one-time fee of $50. You'll never
$50.
Get the attorneys and the experts out. Less than a steak dinner. The only way it would cost more if you need him to go in court with you, but most people do not. There is another side of that equation too, though. Mm-hmm. He's also got something for the parents that are fighting against the gender battle right now.
Right. Yep.
Nobody knows about it better than this guy because he actually taught at the same university as John Money. John Money is the one that created this whole gender confusion and stuff like we know now. If you're not familiar with him, read up. But he taught at the same school, and obviously they were not friends.
They were not.
And he has something, guys, that I think hopefully these parents, because that is such a difficult topic, Dwayne, because up until 5-6 years ago, none of these parents was fighting against the gender transitioning of their kids in family court. Nobody knew how to fight it. It was a new subject, came out of the middle of nowhere. And so far, I can't say that I know a single parent that actually beat this in court when they're going up against this gender issue. The only one that ended up getting his kid was Harrison Tinsley, and that's because mom got in trouble.
That was a fluke. Yeah.
Not because he won in court.
Right.
So there's got to be something. And what we've got to do, guys, is develop this stuff and make sure that we are arming our guys to get in there. What's so important about that one-time fee of $50? That's why how they can keep it up, make sure it gets out to other people. But what does that do? Think of how many tens of thousands of dollars go into an attorney's pocket for even one case.
Yeah, it's $50.
All of that's taken out of their pocket. It's taken out of the court system. Dude, if we can get hundreds of thousands, go in there, even 1,000 is going to be a strain on the system. But if we go, 100,000, 200,000 parents to start doing this and they lose that money, somebody's going to pay attention.
Oh, yeah.
And from the way it's structured, they are a lot smarter than me. I'm a great promoter. My job is to make sure people know about it. And that's why I want you guys there to ask the questions and everything. But from what I know about it, dude, it takes the mudslinging out of the courts too.
Yeah, it keeps the focus on the kid. So there's no argument.
Focus on the kid. If your ex or their attorney starts coming at you with mudslinging, Let them do it because that's
Right.
all they've got. But
Right.
this will completely dismantle that, and it takes that out of it. What is the best interest of the child? Is the parent fit, willing, and able? Yes, they are. Here's the data that shows this. Here's the studies and the facts. We're dealing with facts here. And dude, I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. But I am asking the audience, come here, back me up, ask the questions. And like I said, be as skeptical as you want.
Please.
It's going to be transparent. And dude, as this happens, Dwayne, I'm telling you, dude, it's going to be time to get a megaphone and just start screaming. Because if we can get the money out of the courts, it will crumble.
Exactly.
We've said that the whole time.
Yeah,
the whole reason that system even exists in the first place is the amount of money they make off of it.
Yeah. Are you planning on telling the audience about how this came about? Because there's one area, and again, I'm approaching it a little bit differently than you are, because you're, boots in the ground. You have kind of a different perspective. But are you planning on talking about how that program and your involvement came about? Or do you want me to surprise everybody?
It was actually, quite humbling, and I was honored when I heard about it. The doctor went through parental alienation himself. He's got it, in which most people who are in that field of parental alienation get there because they went through it themselves. But he studied in experimental psychology, which is different than the quackery that we're used to on the other side, right?
Right.
And so it holds a lot more weight. I do believe that's the same type of psychology that Dr. Brooks McKenzie there in Texas.
McKenzie, yep.
Yeah. And so he tells everybody straight up, this is not something he created. All he did was take the research and the studies that have been there for like 100 years, put it together and said, this is it. Right.
Yeah. Yep.
But he formulated it in a way to see what you've got tomorrow. And I'm not going to lie, dude, some of that stuff goes over in my head. So I have to hear it.
How many acronyms?
Right?
After the 10th acronym, you start, wigging out like, I have no idea what the hell they're talking about.
So a great example of what I'm talking about right now, dude, like I wouldn't be a good person to go pro se because I have a hard time retaining information. I have to be there. I have to be hands-on with it. If I can sit there and read something 9 or 10 times and still not tell you what I just read. My wife can talk to me 9 or 10 times and I'll still sit there and look at her like, I'm sorry, baby, I was listening. But,
you say yes.
But they have a long way of saying they have an interactive classroom where you go in there and if there's something that you're not understanding, and they also do trial runs.
Yeah.
They'll have like a mock
setup
court.
And how it works. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can go in there and do it.
Do it. Well, it takes all of those elements out of it, dude. And it's, my thing is, dude, I've had several people, Dwayne, several attorneys that make these pro se courses and stuff. Eric, if you push it on the show, I'll give you a percentage or something like that. I've had several of them just want to flat out sponsor the show for me to give them clients. No. Right. Do you watch the show? Do you realize what we're fighting? I'm not feeding the monster, dude.
Exactly.
Well, I've always said if there was a tool that came across that actually helped. Because my thing is anybody that says they know what's going on inside this system, but they want that system to continue.
Yeah, they're not the guy.
We know, dude, this thing it's too far gone, man.
Oh,
it's too far gone. I think family court's always going to be needed, but as it sits right now, it needs a complete overhaul.
You kind of touched on the humble. You were humbled by it, but I don't know. I think we could probably take it a step further because
yes. Thank you. That's mine. I'm a ping pong.
That's your squirrel.
So they reached out to me and wanted to have a meeting, and I was reluctant. Again, if I hear somebody saying they've got something attached to family law, or they can help people get their kids in court, as much as I want that to be true and stuff like that, I'm just skeptical. I've seen too much BS over the years, dude.
Been around.
But I finally got into a meeting, and the whole time I'm there, I'm BS detectors, on waiting to hear something that I didn't agree with. But we get through that first meeting, still I'm not a sponge at that point. I'm just listening okay, thank you. And after several different meetings, and it started clicking more and more, and I'm like, dude, I think there's something here. And so, come to find out, they said they had been watching me ever since the beginning.
I was not going to let
This
you get
was a
away with
plan.
this if you didn't talk
They
about
had
it.
it planned to attach themselves to me. They are good at what they do. They're researchers. Like, they are good at what they do, but most of the time, those guys are not good promoters. They're not going to be ones making a podcast and
Right.
like getting it out there. And so that would be my job, is making sure you guys know about it and that I get that out there, because the only way it's going to work, guys, is it's got to be in numbers to hurt the system. It's got to be in numbers. And now they told me something the other day, Dewayne, and I'm going to, I'm very careful when I talk about statistics because statistics can be all over the place. There's a lot that goes into that. But according to Matt, who you guys will meet tomorrow, he said the updated AFCC report said that family court is now $129 billion.
Wow. Okay.
Industry.
I got to update my videos now. 60 billion.
I thought it was 50, 60. And that was first thing I said. I was like, dude, I don't put out numbers unless I have like something to back it up. And he brought it out. He's supposed to be getting it to me, 129 billion with a B, guys.
B.
And the system did not get that kind of money because dads are deadbeats. They got that money because these guys are dead broke because they're paying all their money trying to be in their kids' lives.
Yep. And
so imagine this $1 billion monster, and then that money comes out of it all of a sudden. Where's that money going to go to? I think it's going to force them to say, we
need to do something.
And I think, most parents have so much on their back, having a family, having kids, job, and stuff like that. When it comes to this, one, the legal system is intimidating.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because it's like
first time I went,
it'd be like learning, you might be able to learn Japanese or Chinese before you could learn how to go through the court system. Right. And then it gets to a point to where they're like, I don't want to mess with that because I've got like the most important parts of my life are at stake here if I mess this up.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm going to go study the reviews and find the best attorney I can. And then I've heard it so many times, Dewayne. I've got a great attorney. He's different than the others.
Yeah.
How many times have you heard that?
Oh, God, $1 billion is ridiculous. Yeah. And then you pay him $500 an hour if you're lucky. I mean, that the values keep going up, and then $20,000 later, your kid's college fund, your great grandkids' college fund. Yeah, you're going to be a weekend warrior, or you're not going to see your kids anymore. I mean, it's all part of the plan. But
that's one of the things, dude. I mean, like, have you ever seen anybody market something that way? I'm saying, show up, be a skeptic, tell us what's going on, do it together, because if we can arm our guys with this, and it goes through so far. Again, dude, like, I don't know of any program that you can really say that about, but they've had 100% success rate.
Yeah, well, and I haven't looked at the program in depth, obviously, but with what has happened, they had I'm a project manager in the real world. I get software or hardware and I figure out how to break it, and then how do I retrofit it and how to make it work. And part of that is I do use case analysis. You've got something that's been put through the fire of over 1,000 families.
I think it's been 2,000.
2,000 families, and a 100%, not 99, not 98, 100%. Every time these average Joes walk into court after they've done this, they walk out successful. That's one hell. I wish I could get a use case in the business world with that. It's $50 on top of it. That's crazy,
dude. You can't even get a consult with an attorney.
Exactly. Well, when you were telling me about it,
that's the reason they did that, because they're never going to be able to run a business off of $50, because that's not a monthly thing. That's one time.
Time.
That's the amount of volume that they're wanting, because that's what it's going to take to make the system sit back and like, oh my God. But that one time $50 could be 100,000 that was taken out of the system. That one.
Yeah.
Now start doing that in numbers.
Right. And just give everybody an idea. I do a lot of internet stuff. My server space and some of my licensing is more than $50 a month. That's to give you an idea. I mean, these guys are not doing this to make money.
Dude.
$50 is kind of
one of us. Yeah. That's what I said though. To be transparent, I want people to show up and like, you got a question, pick it apart, man.
Yeah.
Get it
Well, you
party
got
as good as you can. I'm
you got you got Ben Boshaw, if I'm saying his name right, wasted almost 3,000 on nothing. Luckily, that was it. He blew $3,000 to get nowhere.
hell. That's just
50
a
bucks.
retainer. That's
Yeah, 50
free
bucks.
is cheap.
That's
You know?
McDonald's. I mean,
So that's one thing that we. I mean, and so just to give a little bit more clarification, this is I have to have it in layman's terms. I'm like, dude, dumb it down for me.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so if I'm dumbing it down, this is how I dumbed it down for myself. So if you ask the family courts, what is the best interest of the child? They can't tell you. And they're supposed to rule on the best interest of the child.
right.
What this does is it actually has something that shows you are the fit parent based upon this. And it's not an opinion at that point.
Right.
This is the facts. This shows, and they can tell you the exact date and time where it started going downhill.
Right.
Then when that's presented to the court, based upon this is the findings right here. If that judge doesn't go by it, Dewayne, it puts their back in the corner. They're not fighting like this. They want to come in the family court. Let me tell you what my ex did in middle school and high school. You know what I mean?
Mudslinging.
Just
yeah.
bring up trash. It's
Yeah.
like, we're not going there. Focus is on the kid. And am
Right.
I fit, willing, and able to go in there? Me and the ex, we don't get along. That's why we're getting a divorce. That's why we're splitting up. We're not doing that right here. We don't want to do the trash. And that's, dude, not only taking the money out of the system is so important, Dewayne, but I wonder how many cases mom and dad could have gotten along. They were just going through a rough patch of their relationship. They don't love anymore. They don't
Right.
love each other anymore. But they could have got along and did what was in the best interest of the child. But they was forced to go into a courtroom with an attorney and talk
an
trash
attorney.
about their ex.
Right.
I've always said, like, one thing that could just completely change the family courts altogether is if they started off and said, look, we understand you guys are in the middle of conflict. Can you tell me one good thing about dad? Can you tell me some of the good things that he's done? They're not asking you that.
Nope.
They
Oh,
don't want to
no.
know the good things you've done.
No.
Bring me the dirt.
When
And
did Sally drink too much at a party when she was 18? You know, that's what they want to find out.
one of the best examples of that, dude, and it was what I was thinking the whole time I was watching it. That last debate with Trump
yeah.
and Kamala, or Trump and Biden.
Yeah.
And like they have to sit there and say, I'm good, they're bad.
Right.
That's all that's family court, dude.
Exactly. Who can
And so
play the
you're
most
taking
mud?
that element out of it. That's not what we're here talking about. It's if I can take care of my child and if I am in the best interest. I
Right.
love it.
Yeah.
I love it, dude. Because
Well,
you are going through the middle of conflict. And regardless, after this happens, that's still their mom. That's still their dad. You're
Exactly.
going to have to communicate in some way or another. And you guys got to learn to put your own shit behind you and move forward with the kid. And the problem is, most of the time, there's one parent there that would never be able to do that. There's one side that would, and it falls off the rails. And so that's what we're here to talk about. I'm not here to sling mud. And this, keep it there. Dude, I love it. But I want you guys to show up and ask the questions. We've got some of these viewers, dude, that are smarter than any of the attorneys I've ever met because they basically had to become an attorney.
Right. Yeah.
You
They've
know?
had to spend the hours, the dollars, the time to learn this stuff. And with this program, you don't have to.
Yep.
It's all done for you. And it's got a 2,000 parent use case done. A successful one. Yeah. That's awesome.
And like I said, worldwide.
Worldwide.
Not
This
just
is
an American thing.
Right.
Those guys that are in Australia, Switzerland, Canada, same thing. It pertains to everybody, man. So
Well, I'm trying to think. One of the questions I'll probably want to ask tomorrow is, you're in court, you're using this stuff, and for some reason the judge ignores all the evidence that's presented and still does the wrong thing. Think about how that sets up your appellate response.
Exactly.
I've seen so many, and because the attorneys they obviously don't care. I've seen so many attorneys screw that part up. So when you go to appeal it, you can't because again that's all based on evidence that's already been presented, preserving the record, all that fun stuff, and you blow it. With this system, it sounds like when you get, if for whatever reason you don't get it done the first time, which I'm assuming that's going to happen, but if you have to go to the appellate court, it's already set up for you. That's just one of the questions I want to ask.
You guys ask the question tomorrow and remind
Yeah.
me. I don't believe generally, Dwayne, it goes past the first court date, dude.
It's one of those, I can't imagine it based on what I've seen and heard. But if for some strange reason it does, your appeal is already pretty well set up for you.
But come on, dude. We've all been in this community for a long time. We've seen it all. We've heard it all. You hear this, be honest. It's like, sounds too good to be true.
It's too good to be true. It's
Sounds
a ShamWow commercial.
That's it. I get it. That's what I said. Come on, bring your toughest questions, pick it apart. I think you guys are going to be pleased because I've been doing it for 2 months by myself, like trying to defend you guys before I come on here. Well, what about this? What about this? What about this? And they are just really good human beings, dude. And I've talked to some of the parents that have went through there.
Mm-hmm.
They love them, but not only that, by the time they go in, the parent is emotional. They're going through this. They feel like they're going crazy. And it actually brings them back down. Like, not only did they get their kids, but it helped them in their life mentally and everything else as well.
Right.
And so if there's something like that out there, dude, that's what I've been waiting on getting for you guys. That's what we've been waiting on.
Yeah, we got question in
I've got some
comments.
other updates though, man. I'll run through and we can talk about this a little bit more. If you guys got some questions, put them down there. I was talking to Jeff Younger the other day. He's got some updates in his case. I don't know I don't think I can talk about some of those right now, but I told Jeff, I was like, dude, you know what? We've got a war on our hands. And I think it would be a good idea for you and I to team up. And I'm going to start bringing on Jeff on Dad Talk Today at least once a week. I'm sure there might be some weeks where he might not be able to make it, but from now on, at least once a week, Jeff is going to be on here because he didn't want to be this guy, but he's the one leading the charge.
Right.
For that, dude. For that issue. Imagine being a parent and having custody stripped away from you and told that you have to have this surgery to this child. What that guy has been through blows my mind. But the fact that he's still going and persevering shows the strength that he's got. And I've said it so many times, one of the smartest guys I know, Dwayne.
Oh yeah. I listened to his podcast. He'll go on and do a podcast. And I've read the books. I've been involved in this thing for over a decade. And there's stuff he comes up with. I'm like, what the hell? I go and research and I'm like, where that? And he's older. He's not a young kid. I figured he's my age and
he's a tough cookie too, bud.
He's smart as a whip. Dude,
did you ever see the videos of him where he trained his son James to box?
Martial arts? Oh yeah. He's the well-rounded dad. Yeah, he does the boxing stuff, and I mean, he's smart. He's fit, active. He does the boxing and the martial arts on stuff. Yeah.
So this is an issue, guys, that just continues to keep getting worse and worse. More cases coming out with these parents that are going through this gender transitioning madness. And so far we just got to present the facts the way it is. The first thing they'll say, Dwayne, is this isn't a gender thing. Well, in this case, it is a gender thing. It's the main subject, but it's also, I haven't seen a case where it's a dad pushing this on his kids. Supposedly there's like one case people mention every once in a while. Right. I don't know the story behind this, but it's the new silver bullet. Right. Mom wants the kid to have this gender transition surgery. Dad doesn't. And if he fights against it, and he's going to lose custody.
Right.
That cut and dry, man. I mean, it's crazy. But I want to make sure that he's got a platform. I know he doesn't have time in his spare time to build it. And that's what Dad Talk was for. If I can get him on here and I can make sure that he's getting the support that he needs. Because, again, I've said one of the biggest challenges in this community is we got to be proactive instead of reactive. Yeah. Right now, a lot of these cases don't get any attention or any spotlight until after the bad part of it has happened. Right. Well, that does nobody any good. And I'm thankful for the media that did cover Jeff after he lost custody a couple of weeks ago, but we needed you before. We need everybody involved before. So let's start getting ahead of that curve. And I'll tell you another thing. Can I vent for a second?
Brother Eric, go ahead and
There we
vent.
5 years, dude. 5 years I spent going across this country, leaving my family, not getting paid, and
Yeah.
doing what I did to build the contacts and to get this message out there. And in that time, I made a lot of contacts. Here's just one of my contact books, completely slapped full. I know so many different media outlets, and you name it, been on a lot of them. I reached out to so many people, Dewayne. Most of them, as soon as they heard from me, they answered right back, "Hey, man, what's going on?" And I would ask them, "Hey, can you do something for Jeff Younger? What's going on with his son?" Crickets.
Yeah. Yep.
Crickets, dude. When they hear what you're needing them to talk about and to fight against, crickets.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine being Jeff or Adam Vina or Harrison going through this, dude. Nobody wants to help.
No.
Oh, and that pisses me off so bad. The very people that want to talk about it. And so another thing is too, for these parents going through the gender transition stuff, it's a hot button issue. It's probably the hottest button issue that we've got. So it gets some clicks and views. They make the documentaries and stuff, but
Right.
who's getting involved?
Right.
Where are they after that news report or that documentary comes out? Do we need another What is a Woman? I get it, dude. Media is important. We need it. But a lot of these guys have the power to really do something about it. And the only thing that I can think of is, why wouldn't they want to get involved and help in this madness? Well, if you do that, you don't have any more documentaries or news to talk about, Dewayne.
Right. Yeah. Or
So
get canceled,
people get involved when it's convenient. And these dads going through that issue are used for ratings.
Right. Clicks.
Yeah, I was talking to Adam just Saturday. I was like, dude, don't let people whore you out for ratings. If they want to talk about your son, you need the awareness, and you need people helping and contributing, because it costs for these guys. Jeff Younger was almost $1.5 million. Now he's not even able to work.
Yeah.
But I was like, always make sure you ask, is there any way, like, what's your involvement going to be afterwards? Do I have a direct line of communication with you for when I need it? Because that's not what I'm seeing with those guys.
Yeah, they're on to the next thing.
Yeah, dude.
Clicks.
Anyway, we got more. But wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more.
So I'm looking at introducing some new subjects to the platform, guys, and I've been wanting to do that for a while. You know, Dewayne, we've been talking about it, and it's important for me. I've been gone, like I said, for about a year, and I've been working on other things I had to. I was losing my mind working on this stuff, guys. I had to not look at it, and I'm not proud of it. I'm actually ashamed that I got that far, but I thought I was going mentally insane, dude. Seeing these cases day in, day out. I needed to work on something else, but it taught me a lesson. If it's doing that to me, you know, what are the viewers going through? If they see this all the time, we've got to be able to talk about some other things. That way they're getting a break. They have somewhere to come unwind, not think about that for a minute. And so there's got to be some balance there. So I'm going to get some other subjects coming up, whether it's music, entertainment, MMA, you name it. I know Dan Severin's planning on doing a good bit of stuff with me, guys, the UFC Hall of Famer, and maybe another Hall of Famer. They're going to come on there, and they are a trip, dude. So I can't wait. But one of the other subjects I've got coming up, I got a new sponsor. Their name is Matrix Hormones. And guys, I'm not saying this because they got behind me. They have been the best company. I've been through like 3 or 4. About 2 years ago now, I started getting to where in the middle of the night, Dewayne, like I would wake up and the whole bed was just covered in sweat.
We've talked about
I was having night sweats.
Yeah.
I was getting brain fog. I was gaining weight. Things downstairs didn't work as good as they once did. You know, there was a lot going on. And when I went to the doctor, he said, you have a very, very low testosterone.
Yeah.
And so they got me on testosterone replacement therapy. And dude, changed my life, man.
Oh, yeah.
It literally changed my life. But then it was like the doctor would get me feeling better. and then I wouldn't feel so good, and it was just like a bounce back and forth ping pong ball, you know.
Yeah.
And then I got with these guys, and like they are more thorough than my family doctor. And that's one of those things, man. I wish I would have looked into it years ago, guys. If you're a guy after 30, we get older, things don't work as good as they used to. And so I'm surprised when I talk to people about the testosterone replacement. A lot of guys don't know about it because, as important as it is for us, nobody's there to tell you about it.
How long did it take you to bring those issues up? Just, I mean, even with our friendship and, you know, hanging out and doing stuff, I think it was like I made a joke about something and you were like, okay, here's my opportunity to ask. And then you started opening up about it. But you were like, I got brain fog. You were having problems sleeping, sweating, just all kinds of issues.
Sweating was like one of the worst, dude. You would have thought I peed in the bed. When I say, like, the bed would be completely soaking wet. And my wife would wake up, Eric, what is going on?
Right.
And I think it was right at 200.
Oh, wow.
And
I think that's because of all the soy.
What makes a man feel like a man.
Exactly. I think, well, with what they've done to the food over the decades, putting more of that soy nonsense and all that, talking with other people. And
our testosterone levels for the last 60 years, Dewayne, have went down 1% every year. It might not sound like a lot with 1%, but 1% every year for 60 years, you're talking about 60%. And so men's testosterone is just going down. So is fertility and lots of other things. It's got a lot to do with what's in our food.
Right.
But yeah, dude, the TRT has helped me. They have gave a promo code. If you follow Dad Talk, the promo code is Dad Talk. Dad Talk today.
Wait, what is it again?
Talk, no spaces. What? And you get a considerable discount over there. They started a 1-month subscription. It's just now kicking off. It's like I think 120 a month.
That's
it.
That
comes with your blood test. It comes with your medicines and everything sent right there to your front door. And they have a telehealth visit with you. And dude, the other day he was on the phone with me for over an hour. Wasn't talking about Dad Talk stuff. It was just my health. And there was those little things. It's like, I have noticed I've had this feeling or this feeling. And dude, he ended up getting me on what HCG is what it's called. And just that one little tweak has made all the difference in the world with me, dude.
Well, you went from being sluggish.
Muscle. I'm in the best shape of my life besides this bum knee.
Oh, yeah, aside from that. But yeah, you went from sluggish, taking naps in the middle of the day kind of thing to now you're just... Yeah.
That just started like, you know, 2 years ago. Like I started getting to where by the time noon came around, I couldn't hold my head up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know?
As you get older.
It's not the case anymore, man. But he is coming on for somebody that might not be well-versed in it. I think a lot of guys have probably heard about it, but they don't put much attention to it. And guys, like, we are dying way quicker than women. So the health of our men in this country and in the world, dude, is not the greatest. And so it's conversations like that we need to have. So the doctor is actually going to come on here Thursday for anybody that is curious about hormones. And it's not just testosterone, anything to do with men's hormones. He'll be on here and you get to ask him questions. I think I'm going to do that once a month with him. And I promise you, I've got tons of questions for him too.
Yeah.
It's neat, man. It's neat to see like all this different stuff. And I'm glad I tell you who I credit for a lot of that, dude, is Joe Rogan. You know, I didn't hear men talking about those problems and stuff like that before, maybe like locker room or something like that, but not openly.
Right. Oh yeah.
And we should be able to.
Yeah. You're a little embarrassed to be like, hey, you know, I'm not rising for the occasion with the better half. And, you know, I'm taking naps middle of the day, or I've got sleep apnea, or, you know, all those things. And yeah, you find out that taking this shot is 100 and how much a month?
It's 120. And they're the only ones that has like that true monthly program. There's a lot of them that claim they have a monthly program, but you have to pay for like 3 or 4 months in advance.
Yeah.
They actually have the month-to-month basis. And if you don't want to do it anymore, I think you give them like a week ahead of time, and they'll cancel it.
So that's a hell of a deal. It's one of those try it out for a month, and what's the worst that will happen?
On my father's grave, I don't do this. Yeah, I take his grave very seriously and his life. They're hands down the most professional company I've seen. If you go look at them on Google, 5-star reviews across the board. That's almost unheard of. And that's with thousands of reviews.
Wow. Okay.
They are great company, dude. And so I am proud to have them on board and have people that support us, man. And guys, look, please support the ones that support us. I am not ever going to get the money that mainstream media gets, and I'm never going to get the government grants that the other people do if I don't create a business out of this somehow, an honest business. I can't operate. And this is where I want my attention is on this.
Right. So
those things, very big, man. And I appreciate it. I've got another show coming up. I don't know. I don't think I can talk about that one yet. I can give some details. Guy's had several movies made about him. He did one UFC fight that he was known for. They asked him day of to do it. He won. But documentaries and everything. He's an Olympic gold medalist, and he's had his story told because of what happened. He had a family member that got murdered. But when I interviewed him not long ago, come to find out, dude, he went through the silver bullet and went through the whole 9 yards. Oh, he had watched Dad Talk. This was supposed to be an episode about something completely different. And he starts talking to me about Dad Talk. He's like, man, I love what you're doing over there. And I said, well, look, man, if you would ever be interested in getting your story out on the show, I'd love to have you on there. And so we've been talking over the last week. His father's a little sick. So as soon as I could get hooked up with him, we'll be doing it. And Dan the Beast Severn is going to join me on that one as well. Dan is looking at doing a good bit more content with Dad Talk over here. How many of our guys like MMA? I don't know about you, but I love ultimate fighting. I love competitive sports altogether. And that has been one of those things for me, Dewayne. It's kind of a pinch arm type deal. This is no lie. You can ask my brother or anybody that knew me, man. Dan was my favorite fighter when I was younger. I was an amateur wrestler. Only did it for 1 year. I was a cigarette smoker too, and that did not help. Dude, amateur wrestlers are some of the most fit athletes on the face of this earth. To be in wrestling, you got to have conditioning. You got to have stamina. Dude, nobody did it like Dan the Beast Severn.
The mustache alone. I mean, that's why I watch.
Dude, most iconic mustache of all time.
I mean, come on.
I get intimidated.
I wish I could do that. I got nothing. The man's. I'm envious of the stash.
You're envious of the stash?
I'm envious. That guy can rock a stash. His stash enters the ring before he does. That was.
Dude, his ring entrance alone, dude.
I know.
Diddly Squat, a.k.a. Five Bellies. He said, Kurt Angle, Dan the Beast Severn, what a specimen. So, think about that, and I'm going to give the information. Dan actually wrestled Kurt Angle. I found that out on the Joe Rogan show. Dan beat Kurt Angle. But I think it was when Kurt was like 18. So Dan was already a little bit older, but he did. So that was an interesting thing. Dan, Dewayne, I don't know if I've ever told you this. Dan was 36 when he had his very first UFC fight.
Yeah.
36 years old. That's when most of these guys are stepping away.
Right. Crippling.
And he absolutely decimated the guy. Yeah. That was Anthony Macias. That was the one he did the suplexes to. How that guy was alive after that, I'll never know. And then he got up and he did it to him again. But 36 years old when he did his first UFC fight. And Dan currently is number 2 for the most MMA fights of all time.
Really? Wow.
Started later than anybody else and had more fights, dude. And it was 121 matches and he won 109.
Wow.
So he lost very few. And then most of those losses came when he was in his 50s. He should have never been in the ring.
I'm 52.
He gets mad when I bring that up with him. But I'm like, man, why was you? I was like, dude, it just pains me to see one of my heroes
Right.
Like, and see somebody that's got a win over him, that would never, ever have a win, you know, if it was prime Dan Severn.
See, the thing is, I mean, talk about Severn a little bit. He's one of, like, when they made him, they broke the mold. One, the stash. You know, I'll talk about that all day long. Two, you were telling me this. He's crazy. He had the carpal tunnel surgery done.
Oh yeah,
and then wrestled. I mean, that is this guy is like
worse than that, Dwayne.
Worse?
No, he was a month out earlier this year from hip surgery.
Oh, we have even a worse story. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, a month out from hip surgery. The week before, he got carpal tunnel surgery on both hands at the same time.
Right.
The following week, he drove from Michigan down here to Georgia, where I went and met him for a seminar. And he gets out there and stretches before all the guys gets there to do the seminar. And the guy's out there standing on top of his head and just doing all this stuff. And I mean,
his 50s.
Yeah, late 50s.
I can't even walk up the stairs
now.
I mean, I'm 52. I can't even walk up the stairs. He's the beast. There you go.
Who was it? He said, "Don't build them that tough these days. Rare to find."
Exactly.
Oh, absolutely.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. We'll get on that diddly squat. He said, "Got to give credit to Fedor. He was a machine." Fedor Emelianenko. Me and Dan has actually talked about him on our show. We have a podcast called Unleashed. But yeah, dude, he was built different. And Don Fry. A lot of people get Don Fry and Dan mixed up because it's two people with the iconic mustache.
Right.
I said, you know, once The Rock got into WWE, he had the people's eyebrow, he called it. Right. I was like, check out the people's mustache. And Don was a tough cookie too, man. A lot of people don't know, but Dan trained Don.
Really?
Don Fry will tell you that Dan Severn is the toughest man to ever walk the face of this earth. And he said the only reason he had losses is back then the UFC, they didn't test for stuff, dude. You had some freaks in there.
Yeah.
Some freaks. And there was some chemical assistance, we'll just put it that way. But he said as far as like natural athlete, not chemical enhanced, you didn't get tougher than Dan.
Yeah.
By no means. I got it, dude. I love talking about MMA.
Well, it sounds like that'll be a show.
It will be.
Yeah.
Oh, cool, man. It's a big fan here of UFC from South Wales. Awesome, brother. So I know he's on his way home. I'm definitely going to get him on sometime this week. But, dude, so there's a lot of different stuff on there, guys. Actually, if you go into the description on YouTube, another thing I'm starting, I've had several people ask me if I do meetings and stuff, like it's a mentor thing. I am not a doctor. I'm not an attorney or any of that. I'm not giving legal advice or medical advice. But if you would like to meet, I've got a calendar now. I'm going to start doing appointments with people, man, like 30 minutes here, hour here. You guys can go book me over there, whether it's just to have somebody to talk to. Maybe you need help with your own podcast or whatever it is. It's one way that I can connect with people. And I'm adding these little business elements to it, Dwayne, so we can get the tools needed to really get the focus over here. And I can tell you, tomorrow is like the number one thing on my schedule, dude. I start seeing these parents winning those cases, $50. You better believe, boy. It's like I am going to be shouting it to the rooftops.
Yeah, well, I would say for people after you watch tomorrow. What time is it tomorrow? Do you have the specific
8 p.m.
time?
8 p.m. Eastern. And I'll tell you, I've always done that with Dad Talk, and the reason being, 8 p.m. Eastern. Most time people are going to be at home, but I'm thinking of Pacific, 3 hours behind us. That's 5 p.m.
Right.
It's a little bit late, so possibly they're off work. Like right now, what time is it?
2 o'clock.
2:20. This is the worst time of day to do a podcast.
Right.
Absolute worst time of day.
And
so for those of you that are sitting on the toilet at work right now,
that's where I'm at.
Drowning a brown and watching us, man, that's dedication, and I appreciate it. But yeah, worst time. But I just wanted to get on here and get that promo out because that's really important, dude. I want to make sure that we're rallying behind younger. I want everybody to show up. And like I said, tomorrow, ask those questions. Like, get in there. Because I do believe these guys, man. I wouldn't put it on here if I didn't.
I know you want to finish up here, but Diddley Squad, aka Five Bellies, just gave you I would say, the hugest compliment ever. Your podcast, second to Joe Rogan's, will be here for many more. Oh, you just made Eric's year right there.
Well, dude, there's only one Rogan, and I hope one day that me and him can do a show together. I'd like to be on there. I talked to him within the first year, and he said if he ever done, well, it wasn't him, it was his booking agent for transparency, said if he ever did a show on the subject, they'd be reaching out to me. That was 5 years ago, so I don't even know if they know. But I do believe, like, if I could get this on Rogan, here's the thing, dude. I never wanted to be a podcaster. Even now, guys, the honesty is I can think of a million things I'd rather be doing than what I'm doing right now.
Right.
And I've went and started working on other things like the pro wrestling or MMA or whatever. And there's always that hook. Like, this isn't what you're supposed to be doing. As stressful as dad talk can be and limited. Okay. This is not exactly the subject that everybody's looking up on YouTube, making content and stuff like that. It'd be so much easier to just turn on the Xbox and play Call of Duty or something and, do gaming or whatever. This subject is not a highly searched thing. So it doesn't matter how good your content is. It's hard to get what's needed to move it forward. Right. But anytime I've went and put my attention anywhere else, those dads, I knew like these dads are needing us, dude. Mm-hmm. And we don't have many places to go to as a father where people can relate and understand what it is that we're going through. And I want to make sure this platform remains. And I appreciate every one of you for being here and understanding I did need to take a break. But I've got a lot of work to do to get this back to where it was, Dewayne.
Oh, yeah.
A lot.
Well, and you did a lot of, you did the podcast, a lot of stuff in front, and you did stuff behind the scenes. Yesterday was the 2-year anniversary of the Darling deletion. I have to watch my words. That occurred down here in Texas. Just for the crowd that doesn't know.
Well, that was murder.
Okay, I didn't know if we're allowed to say that.
Language on that.
Okay. For the folks that don't know, when that happened, Eric flew down on his own dime from where he's at down to Texas in my neck of the woods, and went out to the site, consoled the family, made sure they had their kid. How many? We delivered them. There were like 5 kids, but made sure their kids had Christmas. Did all those things for that family. But that was 2 years ago. And that's the type of stuff that Eric does behind the scenes that a lot of people don't know about. Just to kind of throw that out there. Yeah,
dude. And I'm not looking for any accolades or anything. The one thing that I never ask, it's a ministry, dude. This is 100% a ministry, but I haven't been passing around the offering plate. And I've got to find some ways of making it financially to where this can get my time. And so I'm going to try to add some elements, and I understand my guys are going through what they're going through. And so I've had so many different people, like sponsors that want to get on or like sell products and stuff. I'm like, guys, you're barking up the wrong tree here. My guys are wiped out. One of the things I hear all the time, Dewayne, you got 1 million followers. If everybody just donated $1 a month, you'd have $1 million. They think all it takes is me sending out a post and then I've got $1 million. It doesn't go that way, man. I mean, the reality is like we ain't even reaching 0.00001% of our audience right now. With it going live. It's social media is hard, and it's a hard thing to get going. And,
very. So,
it's time consuming to do what needs to be done. One thing that podcasts and doing podcasts, if you're going to do it right, it is more than a full-time job. Anybody can get on and just get a Zoom program and go live and just talk.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that And I guess you could call it a podcast, but it's not going to be what it needs to be.
Right.
Sometimes it's a full-time job just going through the internet and finding out what's going on in the news cycle.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. In order to get this movement forward, you got to find something that's in the news cycle that you can relate to this issue so people see it. And just constantly scrolling through, finding out, like, let me give you, for example, Jeff Younger. 2 weeks ago, he lost custody. For a week, it was red hot. Nobody's talking about it anymore.
Oh, yeah. On the
Right?
next thing.
It was a news cycle, and then it's gone. And so when it happens, you got to be on it. You got to be hitting. And you got to know what to do and when. And that alone is tons of research, not including all the other things that you got to do. And trying to make sure that we're, being innovative and keeping different things on the platform. So that's, one thing. That's another thing with doing other subjects, so to give me other things to talk about, you know, but I just need some balance in there. So I'm not talking about dads and kids getting murdered all the time, dude. I can't.
Right.
I will continue to be a voice for those. I promise you I will, but I can't do it 24 hours a day.
Well, it needs to be some balance. But so tomorrow, 8:00 Eastern, the program to help parents out was $50. Ask all the questions. You're going to have what day is it? You're going to have the testosterone or I'd say it's not just testosterone.
All my shows again 8 p.m. Eastern.
Oh, 8 p.m. Okay.
Like something like this. This was not scheduled, no promotion. This was just supposed to be like a little promo video, breaking the ice, getting on here, talking to you guys, me and Dewayne farting off, having fun, right? So, but tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, with Dr. Bill and Matt to talk about this program. And I'm serious, guys. For those of you that are going through the family courts, this is important.
Right.
If we can take the money out of the system, we can beat it. This isn't one of those that I'm guessing with you. You know, a lot of the times when we're telling people you can do this, or this and change the system, a lot of that's guesswork. And it's well-meaning, but we have no idea what it's going to do. This right here, if it works as intended, it can shut it down, dude. It will change. It will change it. Because the system exists the way it is because of money. Exactly. Get the money out of the system and get the attorneys out of the equation. I'm being nice when I talk about attorneys right now, because the honesty is, I absolutely despise
if you
attorneys.
Want to get that, come on my show.
Then you always get that. Well, there's some good ones. Really? Name me one. It's like I am so over it, dude.
Yeah.
When you talk about what really needs to be done with the system, with getting the money out, that's when you find out just how bad people really want to change family law. It's profitable to talk about wanting to change it because,
hook of the mouth. Here we go. Okay, so be sure to share all of this with your friends, family, anyone you know that might be going through this. Tell them to tune in. Share this podcast with them. Tell them to tune in tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Be prepared with the questions. This may be it. And I would say if everything is everything passes muster and you're all good, this is something you want to get on early. One, it's only $50. Two is
one time.
One time purchase. Yeah,
one time.
And then you start doing these tactics. These attorneys and the people that are against you, they're not going to have any idea of what's going on. It's going to take them time to go, oh, we can try this, we can try that. If you're in the middle of it, this is the time.
Again, I know it's one of those scenarios that sounds too good to be true.
Right.
Picked it apart. I want you guys to pick it apart with me. What they've got set up, Dewayne, the attorneys, they're not going to know what to do with this.
Exactly. This is the time to do it.
Like it.
Right.
It's exciting, and
it's like
when these guys.
It's like when Hoist Gracie came into MMA, just to kind of tie that back to the whole
thing.
There you go. No one knew. No one knew about submissions. No one knew about any of that stuff. Gracie came in, dominated. There you go.
This is the jiu-jitsu. Dude, that is such a great point, man. When UFC started, and oh, hey, where do we get info and donate? To donate, man, Cash App, Venmo. It's Dad Talk Today, no spaces. Or you want to mail me something, P.O. Box 321, Waverly Hall, Georgia 31831. P.O. Box 321, Waverly Hall, Georgia 31831. But Cash App, Venmo, Dad Talk Today, no spaces. And thank you for that.
Thank you.
But that with Hoist, dude, so like my first memory of watching anything on TV, any movie,
Anything.
it is literally my very first memory. I can tell you where I was sitting, what I was doing. I was probably 2 or 3 years old, was watching Bloodsport with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh, yeah.
That was my movie, dude. I could
yeah.
quote you every word off of it. And it got to a point, you can ask my family, dude. Everybody in my family will tell you. I could do the split, Dwayne, between 2 chairs, just like Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah.
That was my idol. But I could still do a long way split, believe it or not.
Okay.
This big guy,
Really?
I can do it.
Okay.
I can't do that straight out no more, but I could do it on the chairs. But that was my favorite thing. But I loved that. Bruce Lee, Chuck Norris, Steven Seagal. I loved it. And because of those movies, I thought that was what fighting was back then, whether it's pro wrestling or whatever.
Yeah.
You thought the big guy is going to be the one that wins every time. It had nothing to do with technique. It was about how big and how strong you were.
Yep.
And then when the UFC came out and we saw, somebody little Hoist beating these big guys.
Yep.
Like, this can't be real. This can't be real.
Right.
The UFC came around and showed us the reality of fighting, and the importance of technique.
Mm-hmm.
Hoist was a trailblazer, man. And what's so crazy is Hoist was like one of the least knowledgeable of his brothers.
Right.
If it would have been his brothers, like Horian and them, like, dude, it would have been 10 times worse. They purposely picked Hoist because of his size and because it would make that what the hell moment.
Right.
To go in there and to do that to a Dan Severn or a Ken Shamrock.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And
when he Spider Monkey, that was like, what the hell? The little guy won.
Hoist Gracie changed everyone's vision. I mean, he forever changed the image of what fighting really is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And now I don't count the little guy out. It's funny seeing some of the, I don't know if you get the Instagram reels and different stuff that comes up every once in a while. They got that match with the big, like, 700-pound black guy with the little tiny white guy that's like 100 pounds. And you're like, oh, God, this is not going to end well.
Yeah.
It's not going to end well. And it was the little guy that won.
Yeah.
I think the very first fight in the UFC was against Taylor Tooley. He was like an Islander and against another guy. He was way bigger. That was the one where the little guy kicked him in the mouth, busted his tooth out that went flying across.
Oh, I'm trying to remember
that was the very first fight in the UFC, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And at that point, it was like, uh-oh, what's going on here? But really, technically, dude, like I said, my favorite movie was Bloodsport. UFC was the real Bloodsport.
Yeah.
It was the real-life Kumite.
I used to love watching MMA. That was just,
You ever went down the rabbit hole of, Bloodsport was supposed to be a true story.
Yeah, I know. The whole Frank Dukes, yeah. I know. You
ever went and watched any of his interviews?
I've watched a little bit, but I did turn it off because it was that whole magic of Santa Claus. I didn't want to know. I didn't I wanted to believe that the Jean-Claude Van Damme version and be okay.
I know. I did too.
I mean, I like to have a little fantasy in my life. I mean, dealing with the reality of all this stuff every day and all.
I'm glad for some of that fantasy.
Yeah.
Because what would have happened if Bruce Lee was still living and actually went in the UFC? If he would have lost, I'd have been heartbroken.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Everyone.
You don't want your heroes to lose, man.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's how I felt about the fight a few weeks ago.
I was talking about like pinching the arm, dude. Like I remember watching that UFC We used to get it in the news cycle, dude. Like I remember when Mortal Kombat came out.
Oh,
It was
Kombat.
they had all these warnings to parents: don't let your kids play this game. You know, it's the most
When
dangerous
did you
thing.
play it?
What did that do to us kids? I want this game.
Yeah.
You know, they
Yeah.
said the same thing with the UFC. It's violent. You don't need your kids don't need to watch this. I've got to watch this.
Yes, I do.
I remember being around the TV and Dan coming out with that mustache, and I'm like, oh my God, I would not want to mess with that guy.
Yeah.
If there was
yeah.
an image of badassery, it was Dan walking to the ring in UFC 5. And like, dude, like I said, one of my heroes, and now talk to him every day.
I was going to ask you, like, what was that like the first time you got to meet your idol face to face and talk to him?
They say not to meet your heroes.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
And so my first love was music. I'm a rock and roll heavy metal guy. My 20s, music promoter. I did the music thing, worked with the 80s bands, and I got to meet a lot of them. A lot of them was a very big letdown, dude. I wish I would have never met them, and I was never able to look at them the same again, because you get to see the prima donna. You know, they believe their own hype. One of the coolest was Steven Adler from Guns N' Roses. To this day, dude, because I was such a big Guns N' Roses fan. Getting to meet him, he lived up to it. He was one of those heroes. Go and meet him. You'll love him more after you leave. Stephen Pearcy from Rat. Super cool guy. There's one that died not long ago. I won't talk about him. Biggest butthead I've ever seen in my life, dude. Playing in front of 10 people that night, and you would have thought it was the 80s, still playing in front of thousands and thousands of people. His importance was very big.
Yeah.
But and then I've had other heroes finally meet him, and like, oh, dude. But Dan was one of those, man. It's even better. The only thing about it is, it took away the mystique with Dan. Dan didn't talk much. He came to the ring, had that mustache, and you knew he was coming to whip somebody's ass.
Yep. Man, a few words.
How I meet him, and he's a cut up dude. His voice doesn't match the badassery, and he's just like he reminds me of my dad in a way. He's got those dad jokes that he finds funny. Everybody else doesn't as much. He's just an all around good guy, dude.
Yeah.
And
it is nice meeting.
He was
some
one of those
guys.
heroes. It's okay for you to meet him. Don Fry, the same way.
Yeah.
Man of very few words. You know.
You
guys will love him too. Dan hasn't been through any of the dad talk stuff. Luckily, he's been a happily married man. He believes in it. He knows what I fight for, and he knows how important it is. But he hasn't been through any of that personally, which is why you haven't seen him on here telling his story.
Right.
But I still want to get him on. He's been on Dad Talk before.
Yeah. Well, you can tell from a different perspective.
About MMA. He loves talking politics, dude.
Uh-oh.
Loves talking politics.
Yeah, that probably won't go over too well.
No, politics is one of those. Everybody's got their own views. And, I talk politics too, mostly behind the scenes. Yeah. Every once in a while, I'm putting something on Facebook, and I piss hundreds of people off. A lot of people get along with it and some don't. But he's just a straight, no nonsense, what you see is what you get type of guy.
We need more of those guys around. We need to bring those guys back because, the crap today, not working. I mean, it's getting better, but, we need to bring those guys back. It's good stuff.
Yeah, guys. All right, so, tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'll let you know a little bit later on. I'm trying to see if I can get Jeff on the show with me Wednesday night, and then Thursday we're going to have Ken from Matrix Hormones on here. If you would like to go ahead and get set up and look at that plan, go to Matrix Hormones. Your promo code is Dad Talk. Okay, you'll get a pretty good discount on that monthly. Make sure you tell them I said, hey, great guys. I endorse them 100%, man. And I only get behind stuff that I believe in. And other than that, this would be the first year, Dewayne, I've been so busy that I don't have anything planned for Christmas for the boys. And I don't know what I want to do. It's time. Time is one of my biggest enemies right now, is having time to do some of that stuff. but I know I came on for a little bit last Christmas and talked to everybody. But we'll find out something.
Maybe a Call of Duty run with
Maybe.
closest.
Hello here on YouTube. Syrian Christians are going through bad times. Prayers for their safety. Rebels are just too extremist. Hey, yeah, man. Prayers. It's everybody out there, man. You know, it's our world is in a really bad shape right now, guys.
Yeah.
And I feel Hamas, Gaza, Ukraine, Russia. It's like, dude, we're all human beings. Stop fighting. We got our disagreements. Some have different religions, but we all want to love and be loved. We all want to take care of our families. Stop the bullshit, man. Like, it shouldn't be that hard. We are in a time where there, you know, countries have nuclear bombs and stuff like that. Shouldn't even be thought about. You're talking about the end of humanity.
Right.
I don't get it. Why can't people just get along, Dewayne?
Well, it's the same reason you put something up on Facebook that, you know, says here's a box and people argue about it. Here's a twig. I mean, I've almost to that level, people arguing about some of the craziest deal out of armchair quarterbacks. Just a lot of, yeah. I don't know why. I mean, I'm 52. I'm getting up there, and I look back and I'm like, there's things worth fighting for. Obviously, your kids and all, but some of the stuff that we're arguing about and fighting about, it makes no sense.
Stupid, man.
It's
yeah.
It's
There
crazy.
you go, Todd. He said a win does not mean there has to be a loser. No, dude,
Right.
we can all win, man. We can all win, and we can disagree, guys. You know, something happened when I turned 40 last month, dude. It's like there was a level of maturity that I felt got put inside of me that I didn't have before, to where I just see conflict and stuff like this, and I'm like, I'm just over it, dude.
Yeah, you just don't want to deal with it. Yeah.
I hate this is going on, and dude, I'm an empathetic and sympathetic person. When I see stuff and I see somebody hurt, and I want to get involved. Part of my problem. I'm glad I have that heart, but I want to get involved, and sometimes I'm not in the point where I can. And this video came across. I want to say it was in Gaza, and all the people was around. They was trying to feed them, and all the buildings was down, and they was just like scooping with a bowl, getting rice out, throwing it on the plates for the people that was just sitting there reaching over, begging for some of that rice.
Right.
And then I saw the little kids, tears streaming down their face, like begging for a scoop of that rice, man. How many of us are going to be doing that tonight, or our kids? We have no idea how fucking blessed we are, man.
Yeah.
You know, we argue over some of the stupidest shit, man. And then you see somebody going through something like that, and it makes you just want to go to both of those countries and like, stop it. Jesus, man.
Yeah.
How many people got to die before your point is made? And you know, the sad thing is they fight over religion. You guys have two completely different religions. Respect that and let people be who they want to be.
Right.
That was one of the reasons why, you know, when I was talking about with the prayer in school and everything and putting that in there, you're never going to have people that are going to agree with that fully, man. Let's just come together and say we love each other, we think differently, but we've got to exist. It doesn't have to be this way, man.
Yeah, it's
that kind of stuff drives me crazy, dude. It's just like
we've had conversations. Yeah. It's. I mean, you know, you're an Xbox guy. I'm a PC guy. We're gonna fight nonstop about that. Jimmy's an Intel guy. I'm a Ryzen boy. We fight about that. There's just too much anger in this world. But we can all play Call of Duty. We can all play Call of Duty together.
Get on some Call of Duty. Yeah. Life is so short for hatred. It is, man. Like
at 52, let me tell you, it's too.
Hatred does nothing
but
tear everybody apart, and even inside ourselves. When you got that like extreme dislike or hatred for somebody, it just eats away at your insides, man.
Yeah, it lives rents free in your head. Yeah, it's crazy. You gotta let go of that stuff. Maybe 2025.
Gotta let go of that stuff.
Make 2025 the year of just getting rid of the hate, getting behind things, and bettering yourself. Try it out. See what happens. And Simon wants us to give a shout out to Graham. So
who's that now?
Down here in the comments here, Simon Phoenix 963. Hey guys, can you say hi to Graham, please? Hi, Graham.
Graham.
Graham, like Graham Cracker. Hi, Graham.
That is son.
I have no idea. Hey,
Graham, how are you doing? I hope you're having a good holiday and spending it with your family. Thank you for watching Dad Talk today. Get on here and talk with me, man, in the comments. You know, we're one of the shows, Dwayne. I don't see other shows do it as much as we do, where we play off the fans, you know?
Yeah.
Not fans. You guys aren't fans. You're my friends.
Yeah.
Just saying in general, you know. I love doing that because that's how I connect with people. And it's so cool, man. I mean, we had somebody up here where they were saying from Syria, Wales, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We would never connect if it wasn't for something like this. And I'm thankful for each and every single one of you guys. And hopefully one day I get to come to that country and can shake your hand. And if, you know, in the perfect world with the community, what I'd like to do, man, I would love to travel to each one of these countries because everybody, while the problems are the same, you know, with the system, right, there's little minute details that are different and stuff like that. I'd love to go and make mini documentaries, show what's going on in this part of the world. And because I believe through that type of stuff, if you can understand their problems and they can understand yours, you can come together and tackle the big issue. Yeah. But we need to lock arms. I would love to do stuff like that. I love meeting new people, going to new places, and it's just about spreading that message of love, man. When we say Dad Talk, dads are loves. We protect what we love and want to be there to provide. And I think we can do that together, guys.
We need to change from the presidential debate, that last one, to the vice presidential debate that we had in the United States. For those that are in the States here, I mean, we had Trump and Harris trading barbs, and then you had the other two guys, the vice presidents. They were actually respectful, and we talked about that, I think, on camera, off camera, that it was refreshing to see people that obviously two different, you know, they were very different, but they were able to talk respectfully.
You know, I'm not a big fan of Tampon Tim.
Yeah.
This is what he's doing in the family courts. Not the family courts, but sorry.
Everything.
The bathrooms.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about the gender situation that's going on in the family court.
All right.
But the way that him and Vance handled themselves, even though they had intense disagreements, and the part that impressed me the most, wasn't they just being friendly and cordial, was the fact that there was times where the other person made a comment that they agreed with and they acknowledged it.
Yeah.
Was it that hard? I said something good.
I had to replay that. Like, did I hear that? Did he actually compliment him on a thing? Wow. You never hear that anymore. We need to get back to that. I know.
Yeah. I mean, I wish. You know what, dude? I do think, like I said, society is in a weird place right now. I can't quite put my finger on it. That I feel like change is in the air. I think everybody's wanting change. I think it went to like a very bad extreme. Nobody wants to go in the grocery store right now. I mean, let's just be honest. And then the mental health of the country or the world is off the charts. Think about what's plaguing that, though, man. In our parents' day, if you had a political view or you had a religious view and stuff like that, it was something that you held. And you might share it with family or friends in private conversations right now. And that might be like every once in a blue moon. Now, the second I have a thought on politics or religion, it goes on a Facebook status. Yeah. And where I get all these people that judge my thought, whether they agree or they disagree. Right. Then I see people talking to each other just like trash on there, dude. And now we know people's thoughts every second of every day. Those are your thoughts for a reason. Not everything has to be shared.
Exactly.
And the mental health issues that is coming because of that.
Yeah.
That's a whole subject in and of itself. I'll end up going. Hey, guys, if I could really quick, one thing I would like to ask you, and hopefully they won't mind me doing this. My uncle is in hospice. And he's got stage 4 prostate and stage 4 lung cancer. He's got both. And then he has a trach. My aunt She died 2 years ago. They had been married for over 50 something years. He's been heartbroken ever since she left, and he misses her very much. But he had to go to the hospital the other day, and he can't eat because he's aspirating on it. It's getting stuck in his throat.
Yeah.
So they basically told him, you got two options. We can send you to hospice and try to keep you comfortable, or we can give you a feeding tube. And he doesn't want a feeding tube. Obviously, he said you're just prolonging. He's ready to go. You guys would say a prayer for him, man. I've been over there the past couple of days just to get him outside and let him smoke a cigarette and stuff. But seeing him go through that, seeing anybody go through that breaks my heart.
Yeah.
But don't usually ask for like personal stuff like that. But if you can say a little prayer for my uncle, man, his name's Roger, and care about him. I got family down that are there with him right now, so I would definitely appreciate it. Tomorrow night, we got shows at like 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm just going to say it that way instead of specific days. Remember, 8 p.m. Eastern every night this week, pretty much. If you would like to contribute to the show, Dad Talk Today, no spaces, Cash App, Venmo. Guys, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to ding the bell so you get notified of when we go live. If you're watching the show, if I could ask anybody, it would mean a lot to me to do it through YouTube. So I can get that going over there. If this is the only platform that you've got, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, yes, that's fine. But it would, if you could subscribe and ding the bell over there, that would help out a lot. And the more that you comment on the feed and the main video, the more it pushes it out there. We're having a very bad time with the censorship that's been going on, and I'm trying to get that cleared. I mean, we have 1.5 million followers. The viewers should reflect that. Those are not fake followers. I busted my ass to get that out there. So, all right.
And if you want to talk with you directly, they can jump on your calendar, schedule some time.
I've got it in the description of the YouTube. You can go down at the very bottom if you would like to schedule a meeting with me about anything, dude. Whether it's just have a listening ear or anything, guys, it's got a little charge to it. That's what I'm doing, trying to keep my head above water. But I would love to meet with you guys. You can go on there, pick the day, pick the time, and I'll show up and we'll be on video just like this right here. And it'd be time that I can spend with you guys. I've been wanting to do that for a while. I just didn't want to charge anybody. But thing is, if I can't pay the bills, I can't be available. So it's just one of those things that I'm doing, and I hope you guys will support it. And I'm looking forward to talking to any of you that would like to do that. So with that being said, Dwayne, let's do it again sometime soon, brother.
Yeah, definitely. Bye, everybody.
Merry Christmas, everybody.